Okay, guys, I'm not the by 15 minutes. I'm going to go and check on my LinkedIn whether how does it look like. I'm going to go on. Okay, great. I think, yeah, I think I can see myself here. Uh, Great, everyone. This is Atul from Team Keton Academy. Okay, so as I said, I will be going live in probably literally 14 minutes or so. I'm just checking everything is fine. Someone from my team will, or Ayush from my team will message me whether I'm audible and loud and clear. We are going live parallelly at a couple of places. We are going live at YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook page. Wherever you're watching me, let me know. We are going to talk about overview of cloud and AWS. And if you're here, let me know in the comments that you are here, and let me know your questions as well, so I can introduce or go and introduce yourself as well, guys. We'll be starting in literally 13 minutes or so. Um, so if you want to take a break and come back, don't go anywhere. Let me know your post your questions as well, guys. Uh, we are going to talk about overview of cloud and AWS. Hey, Magnesh from Pune, Amit Singh Pandhir. Let me know about your questions as well, guys. I think I'm just trying to log in at different places. Let me see parallelly on my. Okay, yeah. Hey, Nilesh, welcome here. And Alok, welcome here. Shayed, welcome here. We're going to talk about overview of cloud and specifically AWS cloud. We're going to talk about a lot of interesting stuff. Okay, I don't want to. Okay, I think I've mixed something. My timer. This is what we're going to cover. But let me go back and put my timer back on track so that I know we'll be okay. Probably around, literally around 10 minutes window. It's like 15. Yeah. So this is the time frame I'm not going to touch it. We are going to talk about overview of cloud and AWS, cloud service model, cloud deployment model. Then we'll talk about basic AWS core services. We'll also give you step-by-step instructions to register for AWS cloud. And you can get a guide as well. In the meantime, I'm just checking everywhere that we have LinkedIn, I'm all fine. I'm just checking from YouTube as well. So if you are live on AC, okay, let me know about a little bit about you as well, guys. / I'm just going and checking all the places. We are going live at 3 places together right now. We are on live on LinkedIn, Facebook, and uh, YouTube. Just let me know if you can hear me properly. We'll be starting in around 11 minutes. Okay, Wi-Fi is not working here. Hopefully. Okay, so Sandeep is saying, Sandeep, I'm new to AWS. Will it be better for me? Yes, absolutely, Sandeep, because this is targeted for anyone who is new and beginner on cloud. Whether you're beginner to cloud, beginner to AWS, this will be very useful. So great, right place. Second is Mohammed is from Hyderabad. Piyush is from Gurgaon. Piyush, wonderful. My parents are based in Delhi, and I'm based in currently London, UK. But good to hear from you. Which part of Hyderabad or which part of Gurgaon you are? Proud. Okay. Piyush is saying, please advise if we can start AWS journey directly from solution architect or need to do CCP first. If it's a good question, I'm going to cover that as well, Piyush. Very good question. For those who don't know what is CCP, I'll talk about that as well. Great. Nila is from Mumbai. Uh, Mangesh is saying, what are the pointers need to be considered while choosing the cloud provider and suggesting to the, I think I have not seen the full comment. I'm going to talk about that as well. I'm just trying to see if I can connect to my YouTube signal. A little bit not good on my other phone. I hope I'm loud and clear here, guys. So we are, okay. We'll be starting in literally 9 minutes or so. There are a lot of guys from LinkedIn. Um, okay, leave me a comment wherever you are from, and my team is sending me the comments. YouTube. Okay, there's a lot many comments from Facebook. Okay, guys, I got it from Facebook. So Facebook, we have Jay. Hey, Jay. Uh, Olu, Olusola from Facebook again. LinkedIn, I've already mentioned. Facebook, Noor Mohammed, welcome here. Praful is from Satara, India. Tejashwi, Nilay, Jabulani, South Africa, welcome here. And okay, Piyush, I've already shared. Disha, uh, this is Disha, how learning AWS can help in getting a better job. I'm going to cover that as well. Which profile are suitable? I'm going to cover that as well. Great, great. Okay, there are a lot many messages are coming. We'll be picking up. Hold on. So guys, we'll be starting in literally around 8 minutes or so. I'm just having my tea and just setting up everything. And so make sure you introduce yourself and tell me where are you from and what your question is, which I can cover here. We'll be talking about overview of cloud, AWS, service model, deployment model, some of the basic core services of AWS. We'll also talk about how you can register for a free trial account on AWS so you can practice on. We'll be talking about that as well. Okay, in the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up a few questions as well. I'm trying to connect from my phone so I can on my other laptop for a minute. And those who are watching this recording, just fast forward 7 minutes or 7.5 minutes. Those who will be watching later in as a recording, fast forward it 5 minutes. Is audio all fine? Okay. I have few more. Disha is from Rajkot. Hi, Disha. Makshundar is from Bangladesh. Hey, Makshundar. Naresh from Bangalore. Hi, Naresh. Rasika from Pune. Hey, Rasika. Okay, the audio is all clear. Unfortunately, I don't see my YouTube. So I hope, I'm not sure whether we are live on YouTube or not. If anyone is on YouTube, let me know about that as well, please. Oh, sorry. Once we start fully, like I'm going to answer as like pretty much all the questions, and uh, Ayush from my team, if you can pick up the questions separately, so that I make sure that when I'm at a particular point, I answer one question. Now, one question while we are waiting, one question was, should I first do AWS Solution Architect or should I do CCP? And those who are new or have not seen that slide, I'm going to cover that. But people might be confused. What is CCP? Cloud a practitioner. This is a foundation level certification. You can start with foundation, but getting a job with foundation will not be possible. So we always recommend everyone to go via AWS Solution Architect so that you understand all the services. Though you can start with foundation, but when you go with AWS Solution Architect, you automatically get the foundation certificate, or you will easily be able to clear foundation. And if you stay with me over next 1, 2, or 3 weeks, you should be able to clear foundation anyway easily. So I'll try to find out more and more content for you guys so that you can clear foundation certificate. This is saying how learning AWS can help in getting a job. So Disha, if you see here, and Disha is from, I think, LinkedIn. If you look at the job opportunities available in the market, just type AWS jobs in whatever country you're from. I'm assuming you're from India. And if you are, just type AWS jobs in India, and you will see hundreds and hundreds of job opportunities available in India. Remind me again, I'll tell you how to find that out, or just go to Naukri and you should be able to find that easily. Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. Somehow LinkedIn is typing. what I'm saying, which is good. So I need to speak a little bit slowly. Okay. So we'll be starting in around 4 minutes, guys. Okay, Santosh from LinkedIn is saying, want to know how DBs are related to this course. So we are not teaching any course. I'm giving you an overview of cloud and databases. And this is for Santosh for you. However, database administrators or databases that have already moved to cloud. And in AWS, there's something called as relational data services. I'll try to log into the console and I'm going to show you how do you look after the AWS or RDS, which is a relational data services, which is really, excuse me, sorry, relational data services for Oracle, relational data services for MySQL, Microsoft SQL, MongoDB, all different type of databases, or for AWS's Aurora. All those things will be available as well. So we'll be literally starting in around 3 minutes, and then I'm going to talk about what is cloud service model, cloud deployment model. Um, then we'll be talking about basic AWS services. We will also create a AWS trial account so that you can start practicing free. I'll give you some tips as well here. If you have any questions, let me know if any questions so that I can keep answering those questions. Sandeep is saying, Sandeep from Panvel would like to hear where and how you get started. Oh, you started AWS. What were the challenges you faced? Good question. To be frank, I was lucky enough to have a lot of mentors and experts with me with whom I was able to pick up wherever I have any problems. I started asking them. But start with basic concepts. Start with what I'm going to teach here today should be the good starting point for you, Sandeep. Great. Shreya is saying, what is difference between solution architect and developer associate? We're going to talk about that as well today, Shreyas. I have a session about this, or I have a slide about this. We'll be talking about differences between these two. Great. I'm not sure whether we are live on YouTube. Let me go and try on YouTube as well on our YouTube channel and see whether we are actually live on YouTube or not. And if you are, let me know and say hi to me and let me know where are you from, where exactly you've logged in from on YouTube. Okay, I can see that. Great. Rajesh, welcome here. Rajesh from Chennai on YouTube. Um, Rajesh is saying, what is the scope of sales profile in CSP? So I think from a sales point of view also, and give me a full form of CSP. Maybe I'm not that expert, or like, just give me so that we are on the same page. Just put me the full form of CSP, please, Rajesh. And the scope of sales profile, I'll cover that as well. Thank you. Great. Wow. Okay. So we have 1.5 more minute, and then we'll be starting on this. Okay, I think we are on top, or we'll give 1 more minute. So 1 more minute, and then we'll be starting here. Ayush from my team, if you can send me any questions from Facebook as well, and what skills and programming language are required to become AWS developer associate? Amresh will pick up this question as well. Great. Okay, so I think we're already a little bit late, so I'll be starting now. And let me stop this timer. So maybe I'll forward this, and I think we are on top of our. Okay, let's not worry about this too much. Okay, hey everyone, this is Atul from team K21 Academy, and today we are talking about here overview of cloud and AWS, which is Amazon Web Services. This is the agenda we are going to look or cover today. So we'll begin with cloud computing overview. Then we'll look at cloud service model, which is infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. This today's session is targeted for beginners. Even if you're working on AWS or any cloud, maybe you might give it some takeaways, but invite someone who is new to cloud or AWS, and so that they can learn and pick up things. So we'll be also talking about cloud deployment model, which is public, private, and hybrid cloud. Then we'll look at what are the different cloud providers are and why you should be picking AWS, or why I'm talking about AWS today. We'll also then talk about creating a step-by-step hands-on lab so that you can create a free account. So in this lab, we are going to create a free account, or I'm going to give you a guide on how you can create a free AWS account if you don't have. AWS gives free 12 months. But remember, there's a little bit warning here. Even though they say free, not every service is free. And there's some limit on the service you use. So otherwise, you might get charged. So remember that. I'm going to talk about that as well. Then we'll talk about basic overview of AWS services, which is identity and access management, compute, virtual machine, storage, networking, and databases. Then we'll talk about certification for AWS. And then if anyone who wants to move into AWS Solution Architect, as a for a beginner's point of view, a free class, I'll give that as well. So this whole class is this free class is sponsored by K21 Academy. And with that, make sure you go and introduce me if you have not yet done so, and tell me where are you from, or what's your background, and what questions you have for me. If you, a lot of you guys have already introduced, but let me go and introduce myself first. This is my LinkedIn profile. Maybe if you want to take a picture and connect me and hit me on LinkedIn, if you're not already on my LinkedIn connection. So you can go and connect with me. But I'm an author and cloud architect. I've written a couple of books on, but that was primarily back in 2009 on Oracle. That's my background. I come from Oracle background, but I've done now cloud on Oracle, Azure, and AWS, and we're picking now Google. So I have 21 years of experience in IT, with helping 5,500 plus individuals like you to learn cloud. So if you want to connect with me, hit me on LinkedIn. And let me quickly see one or two guys and say hi if you've introduced me on LinkedIn. And if not, we'll move on. So Magnesh, Nilay, Disha, Piyush, Mohammad Ashraf, Sandeep, Shivam, there are around 70 of you guys here. Welcome. Great. Let's move on. And let's first look. Usually my sessions are very interactive, and I try to answer as many questions as I can, but make sure you focus and ask questions. For some reason, if I can't answer your question right now, I'll go later, maybe on Sunday or next couple of days, and then go and answer, or someone from my team will answer your questions. So let's first begin with cloud computing overview. Now, as the word cloud comes, it might be confusing to some of the guys. So cloud computing is delivery of your computing services like servers, your virtual machine, where you have your memory and CPU, storage, where your data is being stored, and in that you have different type of storage. You have block storage, you have object storage, you have file storage. And if you're coming from AWS background, or if you might have heard of S3, S3 stands for Simple Storage Service, which is a block storage. You can also run databases, you can run networking, you can run all sort of applications that you used to do in on-premise. In customers, in your customer data center, you can do everything similar on cloud. So cloud computing enables companies to consume compute, and compute here means memory, CPU, on which some processing can be done. Such as servers, storage, applications, networking, and in that you consume that like as you're doing water, electricity consumption. So for water you pay what you use. Similarly, for electricity you pay what you use. On the similar fashion, you use cloud computing. Now, some of the characteristics or properties of cloud computing is basically, if you see, it's a on-demand self-service, which means there is no human intervention required to get resources. Now, later in today's session, we are going to create an account on AWS, and you can, if you're running with me, if you already have an account, otherwise later I'm going to show you, or you can create an account and later you can go and create machines or whatever resource you want on cloud without any human intervention or someone else or AWS professionals or AWS staff without their intervention. It's broad network access, meaning I can access it from whatever place I want. I can access it from home. I can access it from the internet. I can even control and say, oh, I'm not allowed to access it from the internet. or my cloud services can be only accessible from so and so network. I can control access from wherever I want. It's a resource pooling. Sorry for that, guys. It's resource pooling, which means shared resources, shared pool of resources, which means I have a collection of servers by cloud vendor, and that resourcing is being shared across different customers, of course with security. I can't see your data, you can't see my data. I can't look at your virtual machine, you can't look at my virtual machines, and so on. So that's resource pooling. Rapid elasticity, which means I can scale up and scale back required, which means if I need 5 servers now, I can create 5 servers. And then I have measured service, which means I only pay for what I use or what I consume. So pay as you go model, which we say PAYG, pay as you go. So these are some of the characteristics of cloud computing. Now, one question keeps coming back again and again is, hey, what's the difference between elasticity and scalability? And those who are doing basic foundation certification, this question comes again and again, and a lot of confusion in our training. So I thought I should put it here and explain you here. So scalability is the process of you adding more and more capacity. So for example, as demand increases, so you are give you an example, you are a retail customer, and during Christmas sale, you know that the traffic on your website is going to increase. So instead of 1 server, you might put 2 servers. So that capability of scaling is scalability. The ability to add more servers or more resources on request or on demand is scalability. But then elasticity is not only you add the resources, but then come back on to the original or maybe less resources if you don't have any need. So come December during Christmas sale, or maybe Diwali if those from India, or from whatever festival you have, and if you see peak load, you increase the resources, and once the peak load is gone, you shrink back those resources so you don't pay extra. And that's elasticity. That's kind of a spring which will come back to its original shape if not required. So that's elasticity versus scalability. So is it so far, everyone, is it clear? Cloud computing is nothing but collection of resources on where I'm doing it on somewhere others premises, with these 5 basic characteristics of on demand, pay as you go, accessible from anywhere, resource pooling, rapid elasticity, and major pay as you go model. So if that is clear, let me know in the chat window. If you have any questions on this particular point, then I'm going to move on to the next point, which is cloud service model, which is infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. And I'm also going to give you some examples of that. So far, let me know if it's good and say type good. It's all good. Let me see 1 or 2 questions and say if it's good. Let me know if it's all good. There are a few minutes will come on the chat window. Hold on, there might be a slight delay on the messages. Okay, maybe I'm not able to see. Okay, no, I'm here. Great, I can see the message. Yeah, good. Thank you. Yes, all good. Thanks, Solika. Can you tell once again elasticity and scalability, Shamili? Okay, so one question I'm taking air back for Shamili. Sorry, I'm not very good in pronouncing names, so I hope you won't mind. Shamili, can you tell once again elasticity versus scalability? Scalability is increasing. You add and add, but you're not coming back. Whereas elasticity is shrinking back to the original value. That's elasticity versus scalability. Dharamveer, sorry, I was getting my messages, but I got a lot of messages. So your messages, I'm not getting. I'm getting a lot of messages. Good. Okay. Kartikan, I hope it's clear to you now. Now I'm reading messages from my LinkedIn because I'm on LinkedIn, but I have other places like YouTube and Facebook. I'm going to pick all your questions a little bit later. Those who are from Facebook or YouTube, please. Now let's look at cloud service model. Now there are 3 cloud service model which you should be knowing. One is infrastructure as a service, which is IaaS, platform as a service, which is PaaS, and software as a service, which is SaaS. So first, let's look at traditional on-premise, which is like customer data center. Everything right from networking, storage, servers, virtualization, everything was responsibility of you as a customer. Then came infrastructure as service, in that networking, storage, servers, and virtualization. This is cloud vendor responsibility. Now, a lot of guys come and ask in our training saying that, oh, what does virtualization mean? So virtualization is where you have a physical server, and on that server, using software like VMware, Xenex, or VirtualBox, you can create multiple smaller machines of different operating system. So that everything below that you see in light blue, it's all controlled by cloud vendor. Whereas on top of that, your operating system, middleware, runtime, data application, this is all responsibility of the cloud, sorry, you as a customer. That's infrastructure as a service. Now, in platform as a service, everything that we covered in infrastructure as a service, plus on top of that operating system, which could be Linux or Windows, the middleware. And middleware is where you have a database tier, you have a web tier, but in the middle, you have a middleware we call, which is between end users and the database middleware, which is could be, this is where your application logic sits. And then another question we get is, what is this runtime? So runtime is basically where your application uses to run its application. So if your application is written in .NET, Java, JRE, or maybe Python, PHP, whatever is, or maybe a database runtime, libraries, binaries that helps to run application, that's runtime. So all of this is responsibility of cloud vendor, in this case, AWS, for example. But data and application, you as a customer needs to manage them. And hold on, people might be asking question, oh, can you give me an example? I'm going to give that as well as an example. So this is my cloud platform as a service we call. And then third one is software as a service, where everything is managed by cloud vendor. So what's my role? My role is just to create an account and start using that service as a customer. So I don't need to worry about where my application is managed, how my data is managed, whether I have a high availability, disaster recovery. All of these are responsibility of cloud vendor. So to give an example of, so that you can understand difference between infrastructure as a service and platform as a service, or software as a service. So you might have heard of in AWS something called as EC2. A lot of guys come in and say, if time permits today, I'm going to create a EC2 instance here. So what happens is, EC2 is nothing but Elastic Compute Cloud, which is nothing but virtual machine. So all what you do, you get a virtual machine by cloud vendor, and you have an option to install whether you want to install Windows or Linux on top of that. And then you can attach storage, which is called EBS, Elastic Block Storage you can attach, so that data can be written there. So that's an example of infrastructure as service, where you have to manage the operating system. You then need to deploy application or database or middleware or runtime, and then you take care of high availability and disaster recovery of that application. That's infrastructure as a service. Then platform as a service, you have, I'm going to give two examples. Maybe I can leave it, but there are a few other examples. Maybe you can have a relational database service, or RDS, if you're coming from database background. So in AWS, there is something called as Elastic Beanstalk, which is nothing but a application or a platform on which you can build a scalable web application. Those application can be written on Java or a .NET or PHP or Python or Ruby or Go or Docker, anything that your developer says, here's the application. And then you take that application and deploy on top of AWS on Elastic Beanstalk. So operating system, the runtime, which is in this case Java or .NET or Python or PHP or Ruby or Go or Docker or anything runtime, or a Apache server or Nginx, which is a web server, sorry, load balancer, IaaS, all those is being managed by your cloud vendor. All you're caring is your application, which your application developer is going to give you. And then you simply run and manage that application and data inside that. So this is an example of platform as a service. Then we have a software as a service, which is where everything customer has to, or sorry, cloud vendor has to take care of. All you do is you create a license. So you might have used Office 365, or you might have used Google or Gmail. So currently the emails, if you're part of our list, by the way, If you're not on our list, I highly recommend you to come on our list, because on a regular basis we send a lot of useful content. So what you can do is, you can create a Gmail account, a paid version, and or sorry, we are using a paid version of Gmail, which gives us a lot of other tools. So that all we care about is creating an account and using that service, that software as a service. So Dropbox, Salesforce, Cisco, WebEx or Meeting, SAP, Oracle Fusion applications, ERP Cloud, all those are example of software as a service. So just to do a quick recap on three service models. One is you have infrastructure service, where you as a or cloud vendor will handle till virtualization, and you as a customer needs to manage all on top. um, Here in platform as a service, everything is managed by, below one is managed by the cloud vendor till runtime. In this case we saw PHP or Python or run or Ruby or whatever, all these applications we saw. That's all managed by cloud vendor, and your responsibility only of application and data. And software as a service, everything is managed by you. So let me know if it's all clear, and say all clear on cloud service model, so that we move on to the deployment model. uh, Tejasvi saying, can you repeat one more time? Tejasvi, can you repeat which one for that? um, Mrityunjay saying, can we also go through the session recording? Yes, Mrityunjay, this recording should be available on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook, our Facebook page. So make sure that you, if you're watching, you watch them. Probably next 2-3 days, we keep it for a couple of days. Let me, my screens are not refreshing. I wish. Let me pick up a couple of questions. Here, this is a cloud service model. Uh, and let me know, guys, if I'm going good. I'm not going too fast. Okay, Akash is saying from LinkedIn, what is cloud-based load balancer? So load balancer will come under infrastructure as a service. So you in AWS, you have three load balancers, which is application load balancer, network load balancer, and there's a classical load balancer, which is the old style. So, and then there is a application gateway as well. So Akash, load balancer will come under infrastructure as a service from LinkedIn. Um, okay, Jeff from YouTube is saying, within what is the difference between scale up and scale out? That's a good question. So scale up and scale out was, um, scale up is within a server, scale up is within a server, you're adding more CPU, more memory, more processing. That's a scale up. Scale out is where you add more servers. So you, instead of one server, you pay two servers. This process is also called as horizontal scaling versus vertical scaling. Vertical scaling is, or vertical scaling or scale up is, within a server you are adding more and more resources, like more CPU, memory, storage. Horizontal scaling or um, scale out is about adding more servers, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 servers. I hope that makes sense. Brilliant. Okay, so all clear. Let me know, guys, if it's all making sense. So we move on to the cloud deployment model. Let me go back again. As I said, for some reason, my LinkedIn doesn't refresh. So I'm going to go back to the LinkedIn and check back. Where's my LinkedIn gone? Where's my LinkedIn gone? Yep, great. No, it's a story. Notifications. Where am I live? Great. Great. All clear. Great. So say it's PaaS. Okay, say, guys, let me know when you say clear. I don't know which part was that, whether I'm looking at the old comment or new comment. Uh, Tulika is saying, can you please have a career in cloud if I'm not from a technical background and I don't know Linux? So first of all, for cloud, you don't need to know the Linux, and definitely you can start. If you're not from a technical background, you can become and you can learn and do into cloud. You don't need to be from a technical background, Tulika. In fact, in our training program, we have a lot of, probably around 20% users come from no technical background, or come from who are really freshers. I started my journey. I'm a mechanical engineer, and I don't have any. Then I moved into IT later, from a mechanical to Oracle e-business suite. So it's all possible. It's all doable. In fact, we have a lot of our audience who are in our programs who are not from technical background. Linux, again, you don't need to be Linux guru. The basic Linux you can pick up. Anything is doable and possible to pick up. Okay. Um, Yes, okay, great. Jairam, I love this where you answered. Yes, you can, and you can learn sufficient amount of with so many YouTube and courses. Absolutely spot on. Thank you very much. I'm glad that you're answering and helping. Thank you very much, Jairam. Okay, let's move on to now cloud deployment model. Before that, I'll take a sip of water or maybe tea, and then we'll move on to cloud deployment model. Okay, now by the way, this is all sponsored by K20 Academy. Go and like us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram as well. And by the way, okay, I'll talk about that a little bit later. LinkedIn, I hope you guys are already here. So cloud deployment model, there are three cloud deployment model which is commonly used. Of course, there are more. Of course, people have added more and more, but majority, if you come across, you'll be having three deployment model: public cloud, private cloud, and hybrid cloud. Let's first look at what is public cloud. Now, public cloud is usually offered by third party like AWS or Google or Oracle or Microsoft. They have Azure and IBM or whatever Bluemix. There are a lot of cloud providers which are public cloud providers. Now, this cloud provider is available to anyone over the public internet. Now, you and me can go and create, and today we are going to create an AWS account so that you can practice. It can scale up quickly and conveniently, which means you can add more and more resources, and then without anybody else's intervention, I can create maybe 5, 6, 10 machines. I can create maybe terabytes of disk space. I can have a lot of memory. So that's public cloud. So you can go, I can go, anyone can go and create an account in public cloud. Then I have a private cloud, and private cloud is where only for selective user customers, or maybe one customer or two customers. So what they do, big cloud vendors or maybe small cloud vendors, they carve out a piece of hardware and a network and everything and say this is for so and so customer. And private cloud, it you can also do is where you can take the whole cloud and put it on customer premises. So if you are not familiar with that concept, you can have the entire cloud hardware and software and go and put it into the cloud premises, or sorry, customer premises. That's also called as clouded customer. If you're coming from AWS background, you might have heard of Outpost. Otherwise, go and check out Outpost. If you're coming from Oracle background, Oracle clouded customer. If you're coming from Azure background, there's a Azure Stack, I think Stack Hub is for clouded customer. So you is offered dedicated for a customer, and you have a tighter security control because the underlying infrastructure is not shared with different customers. And then it's typically you need traditional data center staffing and maintenance because it's a private cloud for you as a customer. And then combination of these two, where you have some customers, what they do, their sensitive information, or they have like very sensitive information which is not allowed to go out of their premises. They put it into private cloud within their premises. But anything which is not very sensitive, which by legal reasons are allowed, or legally you're not allowed, you can put it onto cloud, then you put it on public cloud. And then combination of this, where you have public and private, this is hybrid cloud. In this, you have shared responsibility model. It's basically tighter control. So you decide my sensitive information, I'll put it in private cloud. And my not so, I think I'm okay with that kind of a, of course, the public cloud is also very secure, but some companies don't let their data allow, or some government agencies are not allowed to put their data onto cloud. In that case, you can have private cloud. So this is an example of hybrid cloud, where you have Outpost, which is on customer premises. You have instances, you have same hardware, software running at customer premises, and then you have some applications running on cloud, and they are interconnected through something, um, the dedicated pipe, which will not cover. I don't know to go to networking right now, but it might be very interesting. So this is an example of hybrid cloud. So public cloud, private cloud, and hybrid cloud. Is it all clear? And let me know if this is all clear. I'll wait for a minute on here. So what is Azure? Okay, let me pick up all these questions and put me, if say deployment model all clear. Say deployment model all clear. Okay, great. Thank you. What is Azure? Kusuma Bhatt is saying, what is Azure? So Azure is a cloud from Microsoft. Like you have AWS is from Amazon, Oracle, and similar to that, Azure is from Microsoft Cloud. Oh, great, Shamili. Brilliant. That is what I love this, guys. Thank you, Shamili. Brilliant. Carrier for DBs in cloud, Kandukuri. which background, which database administrator you are. If you're an Oracle DBA, you might be doing Oracle database on cloud, which is your Exadata autonomous database, virtual machine DB system, lot of databases. If you are more from an Azure or Microsoft background, you might do Microsoft data engineer, which is DP200. Come and talk to my team on Azure with Azure if you're as Microsoft background. If you don't care whether it's Microsoft Azure or maybe you're a DBA, AWS has pretty much every database on their cloud, which is called as relational data services. Today, I'm going to show you and to log into console and show it to you on that for that. Ajay, what is cloud? Maybe you need to go back and rewind. Maybe how much time we are around 29 minutes. You go back to 20 minutes or 29 minutes. Watch that. What is cloud? And if someone else can help Ajay in LinkedIn and say, tell him what is cloud, please. Okay, Divya is saying, what is the exact difference between Azure and Kubernetes? They are totally two different things, Divya. Azure is a cloud from Microsoft, where Kubernetes is a what do you call microservice container orchestration tool. So Azure is a cloud from Microsoft, where Kubernetes is a container orchestration tool or container management tool. Now you might be asking, what is containers? So Divya, pick two URLs for Kubernetes. If you want to move into Kubernetes, hold on, guys. Heater is on. It's very hot here. So let me switch off my heater and okay, I think hopefully that should be fine. So again, we are going to give you the URL, Divya. I'm going to put URL on Azure. I hope our Kubernetes is about Kubernetes. Tulika, crystal clear. Thank you. Why only few companies have cloud? Kusuma, who's told you that only few customers have cloud? The amount of customers you will see, probably 70, 80,000 customers are already on. There are a huge number of users or customers who are in cloud. So it's like saying only few companies. No, that's not correct. Hybrid cloud, Lower Raju. Hybrid cloud is very combination of where you have public cloud as well as private cloud. Here's an example of where my application, some application running on private cloud, some application running on the public cloud. That's a hybrid cloud, combination of public and private. Deployment model clear. Oh, brilliant, brilliant. Thank you. Interesting. Amazon Web Services from Amazon, the leader in IaaS. Okay, Jairam Krish is saying 1 second. Amazon Web Services, the leader in IaaS and branching out. Microsoft Azure is a strong number 2, right? Hybrid player. Enterprise favorite. Google Cloud Platform strong number 3 with the 11 billion. Brilliant, brilliant, Jairam Krish. Thank you very much. I'm going to cover that as well. Brilliant. Prashant is saying, can you please explain the block diagram, what you have shown now? Prashant, you need to give me the slide. I don't have a slide number. I should have. Okay, this is, I think you're talking about this block diagram. It will be too advanced for this audience right now because it's a networking. In future, we might do the networking thing. If you like and subscribe on us. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Let me see if there's any Facebook or YouTube messages. Mohammed on Facebook or your YouTube is saying clear. Okay, I think I've answered there. And deployment model all clear. Thank you very much, Rajesh, on YouTube. Okay, let's move on now. So let's look at why AWS. A lot of guys say, because I started my career in Oracle 21 years back in year 2000. I'm based in UK, London, and in 2004-5, I moved to UK, London from Delhi. I studied from IIIT. I was among the first batch of IIIT Hyderabad. It's one of the renowned institutes for Hyderabad. And then I worked for a couple of years in Bangalore and Hyderabad. These are the two high-tech cities in South India. And then I moved to UK. And so my primary job was on Oracle till 2014 or 15. And then I started seeing that my AWS cloud and picking up, and then Azure picking up. But my first early stage was Oracle. And then I started moving into, I saw a huge demand on Azure and AWS. And then we started Azure and AWS. And now we are doing a lot of work on Google. So you might see all those three top players here. So if you look at, we are going to talk about IaaS and PaaS. And a lot of people get confused when we talk about, they don't understand the difference between IaaS and PaaS. So the diagram or the cloud you two talk about, most of the time it's more about infrastructure as service. And this diagram also I've taken from, I think, one of the Gartners, or some of the maybe some of the slides. I should have posted a reference. I'll do it next time. But what they say is Amazon AWS is biggest and bigger than the next three of its competitors, be it Google, Azure, and then I think IBM has gone a bit back seat now. But Azure, which is from Microsoft, that's number two. Google is number three, and then Alibaba and IBM pretty much more or less on that. But then there's an Oracle Cloud as well. So this is a cloud provider sheet which we say. And if you see Gartner's Magic Quadrant, and this is for Magic Quadrant on 2020, and Gartner is a big analyst company that tells, and based on that, companies pick and implement customers saying, oh, sorry, not customers, cloud vendor. So AWS is a complete leader, but Microsoft is catching up very fast. That based on what we have seen. So as per August 20, in a Magic Quadrant of cloud infrastructure, AWS is leader in cloud computing. And I'm not going to go too much into this, but you probably know. But any questions, especially AWS certification, especially job opportunities, and I should have put a job opportunities, but are available in AWS. So is it all clear to you saying that? Is it all making sense and clear to you about why you should be picking up and say clear why AWS, clear why AWS? Yamini, thank you very much for my team for sharing these questions. And I think Ayush is here. Ayush is sending me. So if you want, if it's not too late for you. So we are going to go and create a step-by-step account. You can go to this URL, k2academy.com/AWS SA13. Don't do it now. I'm going to give you a step. Okay. Oh, which cloud provider? There's one question came. Mini Matharu from YouTube is saying, which cloud provider is the most popular and used by most companies? So if you see the diagram here, AWS in infrastructure service, AWS. Yeah. Okay. So put in a chat window and say or clear. So we move on to the next segment, which is activity guide to create a free AWS account. Is it, guys? Give me a thumbs up and say if you're enjoying it or not, and tell it to your friends as well, and go and tell it to your colleague and friends to watch it if someone is new. Okay, I'm still a little bit behind. So Divya and Shamili, thank you. Prashant, let me know. I think my comments are again stopped. Let me have to go back. And I'm going to now create, if you say ready to register for a cloud account, how many of you have an account? Leave a comment and say, I have an account or I don't have an account. And I'm going to give you steps. Say, have an account or I don't have an account. Say, I have an account or I don't have an account. I have an account or I don't have an account. Let me go into my LinkedIn page. Sorry, guys. Okay. How do I go back? Notifications. I should see my own live. Yep, page happening and page being updated. Okay, I can see. Oh, I have an account. Great. All clear and enjoying. Thank you, Tolika. Clear. I have an account. Shamli is saying I don't have. Alok is saying don't have an account. Most of guys have accounts. Suresh does not have. Okay, so go to this URL k21academy.com/AWS SA13. Azure, AWS gives you a 30 days trial account. Okay, one second. Let me close this. Okay, so if you go to k21academy.com/AWS SA, and I think 13. Okay, and using this later, not right now, later you can go and create an account. And I think I have created a video, so you can watch that YouTube video and then create an you can create an account from here using step by step. So what you're going to do, you're going to go to the free tier page, and I'm going to put it, my team will put it in the chat window. So aws.amazon.com/free, and then go and say maybe create a free account. This is where you can go and create an account. I already have an account. So what you'll be doing is keep saying repeating. AWS says they give you a 12-month of free tier, but you still need email address, phone number, and credit card. And a lot of guys say, hey, if it's free, why I need to pay credit card? And that is where not every service is free, and it's not unlimited free. There's a limit and there's a quota that you need to do. So you need to provide your payment details, and then you will be getting a phone message. So they verify your phone number, they verify your credit card or debit card. Now, especially some of the guys I mentioned in our free class saying that no, So we have a training on AWS Solution Architect or AWS DevOps or AWS Developer track. In that, people say, oh, they hit problem in registering. Sometimes, especially those from India or Asian countries. So make sure that your credit or debit card has an international payment enabled if you're using. And this is where you're not doing anything to us. This is directly to um, to AWS. So once this is done, if not, let me know. If you hit any problem, maybe in a day or two, create an account and then share if you hit any problem. And leave a comment so my team can help you. Now go and create it. I've already created a free account. I'm going to sign into my AWS console. Now, when you're logging in, you see two users. And again, today I'm not going to cover. This is two different type of users: root user, which is a super user, or a account user administrator, and then you have an IAM user, which is identity and access management. And this is where you log in and you can delegate and create some additional users and say this user will only have a database access, this user will only have a storage access, this user will have only the virtual machine access, and that too, this user will only have the read access, this user will have maybe create access or delete access. You can control all this, and that is first service, which is we call identity and access management. Now this is where you have a root account. I've already have an account, so I'm going to log in. And guys, don't email me on this account. I never check my messages. I have around 30,000 plus emails unread. My team manages my email address, so please don't email me here. If you want to reach out, if you need any help, you can reach out to my team at contact@k20academy.com. And someone from my team will leave a message, contact contact@k21academy.com if you need any help or anything. So I'm just typing here notepad and say contact@k21academy.com. And I know my team might be flooded with messages, but best another way is if you see WhatsApp, there's a WhatsApp number you can message. Simran from my team picks up WhatsApp message. She might be bombarded. Please don't message her for technical reasons. She may not be the technical person. Any technical queries you post here on the chat window. So let me log in and show it to you. We are logging in. So you should be able to go and create this account. Okay, so this is, once you've created an account, you will log into the console like this, where all the services are listed here. And these are all the services that are available. And again, you don't need to learn all of these, and you don't need to be overwhelmed by all of these. There are some core services which everyone should know. One is EC2, storage. This is someone was asking about, what kind of a databases are probably, can I learn database? I'm a DB, what I should do and why I should do. And this is where databases are. And someone was asking about Kubernetes. And so you have Kubernetes on AWS, you have Kubernetes on Azure, Kubernetes on Google, Kubernetes on Oracle. So Kubernetes implementation on AWS cloud is Elastic Kubernetes service. And then there is something called as container I was talking about, which is Docker made containers famous. So this is where Elastic Container Service. Now in our, if you there is a training program we do, which is AWS Solution Architect certification. If you join and join at a specific time, you get a bonus training program which we talk about these three containers, and Docker, and Docker is an example of containers. So we talk about containers, Kubernetes, and how do you implement these. This is quite hot in the market. Now while I'm there, someone is asking about, will there be jobs? So you go and especially let me know which country you're from, and simply say if you are AWS jobs in India, okay, and just type. Or if you're from AWS jobs in US. How many are from US? Let me know. And how many are from UK? And let me know, put in the chat window which country you are from. I would love to hear which country you are from. Okay, 1 second. Can you share the URL, Praveen? Yep, URL is K21acad for registering the account. My team will be sharing here later. So k21academy.com/AWS SA. I think 13. AWS SA 13 is the URL. Okay, I have an account, have an accepted. Rasika, I'm not sure what you mean by have an accepted. What does K21 stands for, Jairam? Good question. K is for my daughter. Her name is Kashish, and that's why when I started company, Kashish K. And 21, I initially, when I started my company a couple of years back, I had a vision that I'll have no more than 21 guys, and 21 guys will stop. But luckily, or like fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know. I love my team now, so we have grown to 72 guys. So that's what. And 21 was the I was anticipating I'll have 21 guys team, but we have grown aggressively much more than that. Okay. Um, Rakesh is saying, I'm from a Node.js Angular background. I want to learn AWS Terraform Cloud. Okay, so first of all, Terraform is not AWS. Terraform is another company which is from HashiCorp, Rakesh. And you can, Terraform is used to automate the cloud build. So you can use Terraform to automate of cloud or on-premise. You can cloud use it for AWS as well. And I think if you're interested, maybe I'll tell you a bit later, leave it. And whereas something similar, like the way you automate cloud using Terraform, which is from a company called HashiCorp, you also have an AWS called Cloud Formation. And Cloud Formation is to automate the AWS cloud build on AWS. You can also do the same thing from Terraform as well, Rakesh. Okay, great. Um, Shamili is saying, what is the exact process of migration from on-premise to AWS? Shamili, is a very big topic. Again, we have a training program in that we go and have a dedicated module about migration, and it's big task. And you have a lot of migration strategy, policies. I may not be able to cover it here, but in future, you've given me food for thought. I might cover that as a session in future, Shamili, but it's a big topic. Okay, a lot of guys from India, and Pujan is from US, Iran, Kuwait, India. KSA is, I think, Saudi. Okay, from France, all good. Okay, so let me show you. Oh, I was showing you the job. So if you go and say India and look, this is where on within AWS itself or AWS Inspector. Best would be for India if you're going Naukri.com and then just search here and say AW. Okay, one second. Sorry, this will not pop up. And type AWS Solution Architect. Again, you don't feel intimidated by the word called architect. Even when you do this program, AWS Solution Architect, when you do this certification, if you're a fresher, if you're a new, you might be doing cloud admin type of a job, cloud engineer type of a role. Now, if you look at job opportunities, here there are 283 jobs currently for freshers. There are 1100 jobs for in the bracket of 3 to 6 lakhs. There are 2500 jobs in 6 to 10 lakhs. There are 2800 jobs in 10 to 15 lakhs. And this is where it goes interesting. 15 to 25 lakhs, 2500. 839, 25 to 30 lakhs. 50 lakh to 41. Who wants here 50 lakhs to 75 lakhs? 41 jobs here. And 75 to 80, 10 jobs. And then there are 100 lakhs, 1 crore, which is huge. In British pounds, 1,000. How much is that? I think it's 100,000 job, which is quite common here in UK. So this is for, and another one similarly for USA. Just type USA, AWS jobs in USA, and then you will be having within AWS there are a lot of opportunities available, and you can say 100 plus jobs, and you click here, and you can start picking up these jobs full time or part time. Similarly, someone was asking about France. You can go and Google like that. Okay, with that, let's move on to the next part. So this is, we have looked it into how to register for an account, and URL k20academy.com/AWS SA13. We've briefly looked it into, guys, all up, and this is where we'll be looking at services now. Is it all making sense and say all good for services? Let's proceed with AWS services. And AWS services, I'll take a sip of my tea. I hope you won't mind. It takes a lot of energy, but I'm having fun as well. When I see questions, I see fun. And you can sponsor me a tea if someone people like. I'm big fond of tea, and I'm going to send you guys bill. Who's going to buy me a tea here? I'm going to send you my invoice and bill. Who can buy me tea, a cup of tea? Great. Okay. Tulika is saying, what all the prerequisite I must possess to learn AWS? All you need, Tulika, is right attitude to learn. As long as you're hungry to learn, you can learn it. And let not anyone stop you and say, oh, you can't do it because you don't have that. Nothing. Everything can be learned. All you need to do is create an account and start playing with that. I'm going to give you a step-by-step framework or the model towards end. So stay tuned. I'm going to give you that framework as well. Great. Okay, Praveen is saying I'm a Linux admin, so what I should know in AWS or what all certificates I should be do in a transform my career. I'm going to cover that as well. I'm going to talk about that as well in a minute. Uh, Morithi is saying I'm from UK. Brilliant. I'm also from UK. UK Morithi. Which part of UK you are? Which part of UK you are? I'm based in London. I'm based in Harrow, which is northwest part of London. Which part of where in UK you are from? So Morithi is saying what additional skills we need apart from completing the solution architect. All requirements are saying, all recruiters are saying that just having a certification is not enough to get a job for solution architect. That's right. Certificate is not the only option. You have to learn and understand. And this is where I think I'm jumping a little bit. But if you go to this URL, I'm going to talk about that as well. k21academy.com/AWS essay 05. I repeat, it's k21academy.com/AWS essay 05. Knowledge is very important. Don't do certification just for clearing the certification. So I repeat, don't do certification just for doing just for the sake of clearing the certification. Make sure you do and learn this. And that is why we recommend everyone to go through and look at the solution architect hands-on lab. This is Surbi is from my colleague. She's again based in India. But this is what we recommend around 10, 27 labs on in order for you to become an expert from complete beginner, right from signing up account to exploring the console to doing CLI console SDK, all those things. And if you do, and then the project work, this is the framework which I see, the learning path I see. I tell all my audience here. So k21academy.com/AWS essay 05. My team will be putting up the chat window. I hope that makes sense. AWS essay 05 is a URL for about this. So yes, certification will only help you. Certification is also important. It will help you to get your CV in front. But yeah, okay. Santosh saying, I buy your tea, you buy me this training. Absolutely, anytime. So next time you meet, you buy me tea. I'm going to give you this training, Santosh. Where are you based, Santosh? Bormia is from Algeria. Tulika is saying, thanks for answering my question. Do I have to learn DevOps along with AWS? No, I'm going to talk about that as well. So you begin with first AWS solution architect, and then later you can go for DevOps if you want. AWS cloud itself will give you a job, but you can take it to the next level by learning DevOps. Okay, great. Murthy is also from London. Which part of London, Murthy? Narsimha is from India. Okay, great. Santosh is from Bangalore. Santosh, I was there in Bangalore in Banerghatta Road. I was in a dairy circle. If you see when you go towards triple I think not triple IT, you go for I am Bangalore. No, Bangalore. Yeah, I am Bangalore. When you go on that road, dairy circle, Kormangla. I was used to live in HSR layout back in 2001, and I went to Bangalore last year. And it's totally changed completely now. So I'm going to come next time, Santosh. I'll probably you sponsor me a tea. I'll sponsor your training. Great, friends, good. Let me take one or two questions from my, oh, wrong window. Let me go and this. Okay. Okay, so we'll talk about AWS services and any question. I think my team. Okay, Ankit Gadia is saying, what is the best path for cloud for people with DBA background? So Ankit, you need to tell me which database administrator you are, and let me know which database administrator you are. And best would be first understand the architecture and concept of that particular cloud, and then you move on and then go for specialization in database as a data running database on. Nowadays, there is also something called as a data engineer. If you're going for Azure track, there is a data engineer. If you're going for AWS, you first go with AWS solution architect. That way you understand all the services of AWS, and then you can pick up and you can go deep into AWS databases on AWS. But within solution architect, there is a DBA related as well. Rakesh is saying from YouTube, I have total 7 years of experience. Can I jump into cloud right now at this stage? Of course, you should be. I moved into the cloud after probably around 17, 16 years of experience in. You should. Anyone who is starting now should be working on cloud. Cloud, there is no other option. Cloud. Okay. Rakesh is saying, as a developer scope in AWS, trying to understand. Yes. So whatever application you're developing in as a developer, you'll be that application development will be coming on. Application will be developed using tools on AWS Cloud and deployed on AWS services. We have a free class coming up on developer, and if I'm not wrong, if those who are developer, not everyone, guys, and again, I want you to be focused and do what is right for you. So if you go to those who are developer, k21academy.com, AWS dev, I think AWS dev 02, if I'm not wrong. So we are I'm going to do a free class on AWS DevOps developer. So join the wait list. It's a free class which I'm going to do AWS Developer Associate, k21academy.com/AWS Dev 02. We are still preparing it. We work very, very hard on these free classes. Okay, great. Okay. So Ankit Gadia is saying, I've worked on both relational databases, NoSQL, Oracle, Microsoft SQL, Cassandra, Azure, Cosmos DB, MySQL. Then Ankit, you should be going for Azure Data Engineer. So k21academy.com/Azure DE 11 Azure Data Engineer, k21academy.com/Azure DE 11 Azure Data Engineer 11. That's what you should be doing. There is a certification called DP 200 201, and now it's DP 203. Azure Data Engineer. That's what you should be focusing. In my view, that's my personal view. Some guys might say, oh, go to Oracle. Some might say go to AWS. From a data point of view, I found Azure quite big and good. This exam 200 201 is currently, as of today. There is another certification DP 203, which is in beta right now. So that URL. Great. Okay. Thanks, Murthy. North London, Tottenham, not very far. My family is based in Harrow on the Hill. I used to work in Trinity Club in Harrow. Brilliant, Murthy. Great. Alok is saying that he has 15 years of experience on Java and J2E and IBM Maximo asset management. Will it be a wise decision to switch my career to AWS Cloud? Absolutely, Alok. And you'll be surprised me after having, and I feel sometime if I look back, I in 2016, 17, and 18, I used to say that I'll never move to AWS, and 2 years later, and that's why I don't say sometimes things which I might change. So yes, you should be moving to AWS or at least some cloud. Okay, at least some cloud. I started with Oracle, then did Azure, and then did AWS. And the minute I saw AWS, the way customers are implementing, that was total transformation. The the maturity level of AWS as well. So yes, Alok, absolutely, you should be moving to. Okay, guys, let's move on. I think slightly I've got dragged away. My LinkedIn guys, are you still with me? Are you still with me? And say I'm still with you. Put in the chat window and say I'm still with you on LinkedIn. My LinkedIn gang. I'll say my LinkedIn group. Okay, let me go back to and say I'm still with you here. My message. Where is my thing? No, I'm still with. Okay, I think the message comes a slightly delay on. Okay, I'm still late on LinkedIn, so I might come a little bit late. I'll wait one more minute. In the meantime, I'll have, and then we'll talk about the cloud service model services. These are very interesting services, and I'll show it to you. And then I'll give you the certification and then free class. I'm going to talk about free class, and then we'll wrap it up. If you guys enjoying, then I might cover global infrastructure and availability zone. How do you choose zones and what these zones are? But I'll talk about more to come. We're talking about certification. We'll be talking about free class as well, which I'm going to give you, and the guides which I've given you hint of that. So these services, my AWS or my Azure, LinkedIn gang. Okay, Shweta, I can do it. I was not planning to do it. I can show it here. Still here. Thank you, Atul. Great. Okay, great. Okay, so let's move on. Let's move on. People are waiting. Let's move on. I'll have my tea on the next break. If one more person can sponsor me, great. AWS services. Let's move on. So this is on left-hand side, you see traditional infrastructure. Those guys who are coming from infrastructure background, you have a storage, you have servers, you create networking, you do the security on the similar way you do in AWS as well. So in traditionally in on-premise, you have DAS, direct attached storage, SAN, storage array network, NAS, network attached storage. Similar to that in AWS, you have EBS, Elastic Block Storage, EFS, Elastic File Services, S3, Simple Storage Service. And in storage, typically there are three types of storage: block storage, object storage, file storage. Again, don't worry if these things feel intimidated. For now, just try to grasp as much as you can. And I didn't learn these things overnight. It took me almost a good couple of months, but I go and investigate a bit more. So if you need more, I can give you the documents, or just say block storage, object storage, file storage. You'll be understanding a little bit more. Then you have servers, and something similar in AWS. You have AMI, which is, I think, Amazon Machine Image, through which you start your machines or you create your machines, and you creating EC2 machine. I'm going to, maybe someone ask me demo, I'm going to show you to demo and we'll create some machines today. So you create EC2. Then we'll go to router and we'll say create router. We'll go and create a router. You can have in networking, you have routers, network, switches, something similar in AWS. You have Elastic Load Balancer, virtual private cloud, VPC, which is nothing but your network. And then you can have subnets, you can have gateways, you can have connectivity, all this for networks. Then for security, you have firewalls, you have access control list, you have admin, like you delegate administration. Similar to that in AWS, you have security group, which is your firewall, network access control list, network access control list. So this firewall is at a server level or IP level, and this firewall is at a subnet level or VPC level. And some guys might be saying, oh gosh, what's happening? This is going overboard. A little bit, I'm going a little bit deep, but don't worry. Just listen and try to understand. And this is where you have identity and access management. And these are all the services that are available on. Do you want to learn this, or it's going, should I go and, because some people might get offended and say, oh, it's too much. Let me quickly cover that, and then probably we'll go and show it to you. And maybe side by side, I'm going to go and show it to you. So there are foundation level services which you do, and these are core services which probably are used extensively. And these are some of the things you should be learning if you're going on to cloud admin, cloud engineer. These, I think, you must be learning. And especially for compute, which is your CPU and memory, you get EC2, which is Elastic Compute Cloud. When I go and create machines, I'm going to do this. Or you have AWS Lambda, which is functions. Or you have, what do you call these? Storage, different type of storage. You have different type of databases, your relational databases, and Amazon DynamoDB and DocumentDB and so on. And then you have a networking services. These are foundation level services. Then you have application level services, which are for example, Microsoft Active Directory. You can run it on AWS Cloud, which is AWS Directory Services. You have identity and access management, which is users groups. You have a lot of other things which probably I don't want to go too much, but otherwise it might get confusing for now. But having a overall idea about these things, you don't need to remember any of that. So you have in application and security. Then if you're doing deployment and configuration, you have these services for deployment and configuration. If you're coming from analytics background, these are for analytics background. Then you have from deployment and management, where you say application for deploying. You have simple queue service, SQS, or email service, simple email service, or for CloudWatch for monitoring. And then you have for mobile services if you're doing mobile applications. Or you also have enterprise applications or end user computing, like your Google Doc, Word documents, Excel sheets. So like that, we call enterprise applications or end user computing, we call, where you say documents, workspace, or mail, emails. So these are some of the services. Let's go and see it on AWS Cloud. I already had connected and logged into AWS console, and you can go and create a service. So if I want to create a S3 service, we say EC2, which is my virtual servers in cloud. And we are going to create a machine if you guys have an account. And I'll show you how easy or simple it is. So you go, and before that I want to show you as well, keep an eye on, there's something called as billing. So you can go and check how much money you've spent on that month. So I go and under my billing, and then it'll tell me how much money I've spent on that month. So if you see now, I work quite extensively for our trainings, and I've spent till now 11 cents in month. in this current month, March. In February, I spent $5 because I made a mistake. I forgot to close one service. So now if you see, you can even drill down and see my EC2 took me 9 cents. And then rest all was text. I was free for Elastic Load Balancer. I created some data transfer. I did some CloudWatch. I used some other services. So you can go and drill down onto bill and say where exactly I've used my money. So I can go and say out of $9, 9 cents on Elastic Compute Cloud, which is my virtual machines. Scroll down here and say these are the two regions or geographical location or country. US East, inside there is a data center called North Virginia, or US East, Ohio. So I've used my 9 cents on East North Virginia, and I can go and drill down to a level, say, oh, where exactly I've used. So if you see this service, I've used NAT Gateway, and I use this NAT Gateway for 2 hours. What is NAT Gateway? Don't worry right now. But NAT Gateway, they charge 0.054 per hour. I used it for 2 hours, and then that's why I got charged for 0.09. So you can go and drill down where exactly you are. You can, best way is you create a service and delete the service. So how many of you guys want to know and say create a EC2 or Linux machine? So you can connect and you can connect with me, and I'm going to share my EC2 and you can connect to that Windows machine. I'm going to give you the password as well. Great. Still with me. Great, Murthy. Dharamveer saying, what is the scope of automation in AWS? Great. You can automate pretty much everything. There's a tool called Cloud Formation through which you can automate, Dharamveer. So Cloud Formation you can automate. Great. Jabulani is saying still here. Brilliant. Thank you, Jabulani. Great. Okay. Okay. Let put me in the chat window. How many of you guys want me to create a machine, a virtual machine, so you can connect? We're going to create a Windows type of machine. Let me put in the chat window, and then we'll talk about certification. Okay. Saf is saying, on there, no required any coding. So there is no coding required if you're not a developer. For AWS Solution Architect, AWS DevOps, there's no coding, there's no programming required. Safe. Okay, great. So now let's go and create. Okay, I'm still waiting for my messages, and see. Put in the chat window that if you want me to create a EC2, otherwise we'll move on. And if I see a couple of messages, then we'll go and create a EC2. So you can simply go ahead and say here and say launch an instance. I wanted to create a launch an instance, and these are different type of operating system you can create. You can create a Amazon Linux. You can use Mac operating system as well now, or you can create a Windows machine. So I'm going to create a Windows machine. So you and me, all of us can log into this Windows machine. So you can create Linux machine as well. Let's move on to the next part of this. This is AWS services. I'm not going to go because of the time. I'm not going to go on too much into this right now. We are a little bit extra ahead. So these are some of the services that you use. All the services for you that you need are here. These are all the different services. So you probably might be working, if you want to work on networking, you'll be working on here. If you want to work on developer track, a lot of guys were saying developer. These are developer track you'll be using, or DevOps track. This is where you are doing containers, microservices. If you're going identity and access management security, this is where you'll be working. Let's go and now go and look at certification. And this is where, guys, let me know about certification. And this is the certification, and put me the chat window which one you want and what your questions are related to certification now. What question you have related to certification, please? And give me a thumbs up, thumbs down. Are you enjoying, not enjoying? Is it good? Is it not good? And if it's good, go and tell it to your friends, colleagues, so that we can add more and more content. What kind of a content you want as well, please? Let me know about the certification. This is certification which I'm going to talk about. And there's a foundation certificate, there's an associate certificate, there's a professional certificate. Okay, my messages come a little bit late. Rakesh saying on YouTube, yes, create. Asif is saying Linux machine. Should I create a Linux machine or a Windows machine? Put it to me. I can create a Windows machine. I can create a Linux machine. So let me know. Prashant is saying, yes, create a EC2. I'm going to create it after this certification and free class. I'm going to create that, and I'll show you and explain you as well. Pravan is also saying create an EC2. For some reason, my LinkedIn are not working. It's giving me a message a little bit late. Sunil is saying first, thank you very much for the session. I have around 8 years of experience implementing single sign-on, identity management with Oracle. What platform do you suggest if I plan to switch to cloud? Brilliant, Sunil. I think if you worked on Oracle single sign-on, Oracle identity access management, probably you might be knowing me. I've written book on same Oracle Access Manager, Identity Manager. I transitioned myself from Oracle onto Azure and AWS. That doesn't mean that you should leave Oracle. Continue what you're doing, but AWS, Azure are quite hot in market right now. So AWS and Azure, pick those, Sunil. And good to see. Did you work Oracle Access Manager, Identity Manager, Thor Obliques, Identity Cloud Service, integration analytics, those things? Great. Let me go to my LinkedIn and we'll talk about certification. Okay. I have to refresh. Maybe next time I'm going to correct it. My team is using some app which I should be using as well. Oh, where is my notifications gone? Okay. Okay. Great. So Tulika is saying it's very useful, interactive. Thank you very much. Great. Okay. What is the scope of automation? I've covered that. Okay. Let's begin with the certification now. So there is a basic called foundation certificate, which is for beginners. But my suggestion to you would be, I wouldn't recommend anyone to start with foundation because it's very basic and you will not get a job with that. And what we do or mistake we do is we a lot of time uh, underestimate ourselves and say, oh, I won't be able to do this, I'm not able to, oh, we spend a lot of time, people spend a lot of time, I've seen people spending months and months of foundation in certification, and they get on and on and on. Whereas my suggestion to you would be, for starting, if you are a administrator, if you're an architect, if you are a DevOps guy, anything on operations, architect, this is what I suggest to begin with, which is AWS Solution Architect. That's how I started. Someone was asking me how I started. I started my journey with AWS Solution Architect. If you're a developer, then you probably might want to start with either developer track or DevOps track, one of these two, this one. If you are an architect, if you are an administrator, if you are new to cloud, if you don't know where to start, you should be starting with this. Because what you want is, you want traction, you want a quick job into AWS or cloud, and this track will give you that job. And once you have done this, then probably you might go either, if you've done this, go to DevOps. If you've done this, then go to DevOps, and then come back to this SysOps. This is for day-to-day operation management. This is for management of day-to-day. But why I recommend everyone to go with AWS Solution Architect is because this is the most vast. Like, it will cover pretty much every service, so you'll have a good understanding and idea about AWS Solution Architect. And this is how I started. This is how what I recommend. Once you do with the Solution Architect, you can easily clear this cloud practitioner, and you wouldn't even look at cloud practitioner because this is what will give you the jobs. So either this or this or this, and once these three are done, then you can come here. And then you might want to go with AWS Solution Architect, or you might want to come into one of these specialists. I'm not going to talk about AWS specialist, and a lot of guys jump directly into specialist, which is okay to do, but I still think if you're new and if you want to learn conceptually, start from AWS Solution Architect. I think I've said it enough. Now, if you're interested to know about AWS Solution Architect, I run a free class. Don't do it right now. Do it after this class, where we'll be talking about whatever I've covered. Most of the things we are going to go, but in a very fast manner. But we are going to give a demo about creating a S3, which is a simple storage service bucket, so that you can use that as a web services as well. So what you need to do is, if you're interested, fill this. This is a complete, I think, around 2 hours class, where you can fill your name, or you select a date and time, and then you fill your name and email address and phone number and say book seat. You can do it by going to k20academy.com/AWS SA02. Don't do it right now. Do it later of the class. And then this is the step-by-step hands-on lab we recommend, around 37 plus or so. This is k20academy.com/AWS SA05. So k20academy.com/AWS. SA stands for Solution Architect number 05. Why number? I just love numbers. I'm fond of numbers. People say, or I used to think in my schooling, I was very good in maths. I got 100% score in 100 out of 100 in my maths in 10th standard. and I think 12th standard I got 99 or something like that. I was still regret my days. And funny enough, my daughter doesn't love math. She hates maths. So anyway, let's move on. If is it all good? Then before we go to the global infrastructure, if you have any questions related to certification, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to go and create an EC2, and then we'll wrap it up with that. Um, I got it. Anish, very good question. Few services are named as AWS and free services are on Amazon. Good. So a service which is standing on its own, it's called as Amazon. A service which is inside the cloud, which needs something else, that's AWS. Anish, very good question. I think I've seen this question again for a number of guys. Good. Um, Sunil is saying, yes, I know you from the time. Okay, so I think Sunil is from identity and access management background. Yes, I know you from the time I started my career. I really appreciate your blog post and blogs and posts. Consider me a fan. Thank you very much. Means a lot to me, Sunil. And a lot of these things, I started my journey or sharing this information back in 2004, 2003 or 2004. I'll tell you, I was working for Oracle, and I joined very junior in the team, and I joined a team called Oracle E-Business Suite. And that time, financials are big systems, very powerful systems, and everyone in my team was, I think, 15, 16, 20 years experience. I was the youngest one, and I had the toughest time as well. And people used to treat me like not so good at the time, and I used to struggle to get information out. And I don't know at the time, and now it's not, I don't think like that, but I used to struggle a lot to get information out. People used to think if they share, they're going to lose something, or they will lose their their job or something like that. And I believed in saying the more you share, the more you learn. So I started my blog in 2000, I think early 2000, 2004 5, I don't remember. And that I started sharing my journey. And thank you very much, means a lot as well to me. Okay, so let's go and create a AWS account, and then we'll wrap it up if we can. So if you're with me, we are going to go to EC2, which is Elastic Compute Cloud, EC2. And I'm not sure, should I create a Linux machine or should I create a Windows machine? How many guys are Windows and Linux? Okay. Morithi is saying, leave me a comment and say Windows or Linux. I got a Linux. I'm going to create a Linux. But I was keen to create a Windows because then you can connect from a RDP machine. Okay. But let me see. If I see there's one person for Linux, I want to see if there is anyone for Windows as well. How do you become an authorized AWS instructor? Google it, Murithi. You should have first certifications. Shweta is a very good question. Just by doing certification doesn't get me a job. They ask me minimum 2 years of experience. Can you suggest? Very good question, Shweta. Saying that companies say, oh, you need an experience. And this is where don't do certification just for the sake of doing it. Do certification for learning. And that's why these labs that we see in 27 or how many, 10, 20, 27 or 28 labs, these are done based on the real experience. These are done on how you're going to do it on the cloud. These are the one which is similar to what you do actually for customer implementation. And when you do these, put these task in your CV and say you did it as a proof of concept. You did them as for a customer implementation. You did them as a to implement, because these are the things which are on the lines of which you do on customer. And if you do decide, there is a training program we do. If you do decide to join the training program, we do a project work and where we mimic. If you see, I think it's not here. I'm not sure if it's here. No, it's not here, but then we have a AWS project work we do as a part of the program. And that project work is similar to your that. And when companies say, oh, 2 years experience, there will always be someone who needs less than 1 year experience, less than or a entry type of jobs as well are available as well, Shrita. But if you if you go to an employer and say, I know this, I can do this, what companies don't want is that someone who has not done it and they have to teach them from scratch, or they don't want someone to make mistakes. And this is where the problem comes. Okay, so I see 2 Linux, 2 Windows. It's a tie. Hatim is saying Linux. Oh no, yeah, Shweta is saying Linux, and Brenda and Prashant is saying Windows. Okay, let me go to, there is a tie here. Let me see if I see anyone on my other group. Seth is saying I'm working as a Hadoop admin. So which certification required to enter into AWS platform? So Seth, if you want to enter into then you should be going AWS. If you want to enter into AWS, begin with AWS Solution Architect, and then there is a data related one. Then you go for a data. Okay, I'm still okay. Prashant got from a no. Prashant is same message from. There are Windows. No, Prashant got from Linux or Windows as well. So there are no equal. I'm still in dilemma. Okay, let's do both. Let's do both, guys. Let's do both. Why limit yourself onto one? So let's do both. So first is I'm going to go to EC2 and then select EC2. I'm going to first do Windows so that you can connect from your RDP, and then I'm going to show you from Linux as well. So first thing is going to do is and say under here, and this is the interface for creating machines. I can see all my instances here. So if I click on instances, right now it says you don't have any instances. This is where you see all the region, like which is where AWS has their data center. So in US East 1, US East 2, US West 1, US West 2, and then they have Africa, Asia, Canada, Europe, Middle East. You can create servers anywhere. We pick up US East 1 because this is where the cheapest ones are. So you select and say, you can go and say launch instance from here, or you can go back to EC2 dashboard and you can say launch instance. Anywhere is fine. So click on launch instance, and I'm saying now I'm launching the instance. So what kind of an operating system you want? I told you VM will be managed by the cloud vendor, but operating system is your responsibility. You have an option to check and say I'm installing a Linux of type Amazon, or I'm installing a Linux of Red Hat. I'm installing a Windows. I'm installing Windows. I'm installing even Mac operating system, Macintosh. I can install SUSE, Ubuntu. These are different Linux flavors. So first, let's create a Windows machine. So I'll say create and say 64-bit operating system to select. Now, this is where I'll say what kind of a shape I'm going to create or instance type, which means which will dictate how much memory and CPU I can allocate. So under the free tier, make sure you, if you create under free tier, and T2 micro is a shape where you say 1 vCPU and you get 1 GB of memory, and you get some elastic block storage, which is a storage, and you get one storage and say, I want this particular type. Click on next. And this is where we are configuring now the instance detail. How many instances I want? One instance. Now, and I'm going to only focus on the highlight things because there are too many options. I don't want to confuse you. But this machine gets created inside. This machine will need an IP address. And then IP addresses, you get it from something called as a network, which is in AWS term called virtual private cloud, which is nothing but collection of IPs, a network, continuous block of maybe 100, 200, 500, 1,000, up to 65,000 IPs, or maybe more. Sorry, I think it's 2 to the power, I think 64. Oh no, there's a limit. There's a cider limit you can create. Sorry for that. So you create there's a default VPC comes. I'm going to select that. And then within that, there is a subnet. You can pick default subnet, whatever. So I'm not caring right now under where I'm placing this machine. Let AWS decide where you want to keep within this network. Now, public IP, I want to assign a public IP. There's a public IP and there's a private IP. Private IP is only accessible within AWS network. Private IP is accessible over the internet. So I'll say enable the public IP because I want it to be accessible. You can access, I can access. And then there are other things which I'm not going to cover here. But again, this is we cover inside our program, training program. We have an AWS solution program where we go and explain these in detail. I'm going to leave it by default for now. And it's simple. I want to keep things simple. And then say add storage. Now I'm going to add a storage. Minimum you need 30 gig for Windows machine and 8 gig for Linux machines. And then you can add more volumes or storage. So by default, my operating system gets installed inside this. We also call it as a root volume or a boot volume, BOOT boot. To start, this is where my operating system gets installed. I can add and more volumes, means storage. I don't want storage. 30 GB is enough. And because I get only 30 GB, I'm also mindful of my students that not to get their credit card bill just because we want to try something. So we'll delete, or we can, a different way I'll tell you how you can add later as well. And then you say add tags, and tag is nothing but a metadata, and say what kind of a machine is that, and say name, and say K21 Academy Windows VM, Windows VM, 01 by Atul, and some whatever metadata. And same metadata will be attached to my instance, volume, and network things which I'm going to create. And now, next is I'm creating a security group. And security group is nothing but a firewall. So that will allow connections or disallow connections. So here I'm saying RDP, which is a remote desktop. I'm going to connect something called as remote desktop client, which we later say remote desktop connection. So that this service listens on 3389, so that I from my laptop can connect, I from my machine or sitting here from my laptop can connect to the Windows machines for some admin job. So I'll say this and say review and launch. And this is my all my details and say launch. Now I'll need some keys to create. Okay, so I've not, if you remember, I've not given any password here. So by default, we'll create a user called administrator and we'll set some password to that. In order to get that password, I need some keys, which is public private key. I already have created a key pair, but I can say create a new pair. And then I give a name. So I'll create a new pair and say Windows new key pair, and say I need to make sure that I download this key pair, because then otherwise I'll not be able to connect. So download key pair, and I'll save it in my downloads folder. So I'll say Windows new key pair. I'll need this key pair later when I'm retrieving my password, and say launch the instance. And that's it. My machine will be available in the next few minutes. While we are creating this Windows, it's going, you can go back to EC2 again, EC2, and say go to this EC2. And then under instances, my machine, it's saying instance state is pending, it's creating. While it's doing, let's create one more machine and say launch one more instance. Now this time I'm going to create a Linux machine of Amazon Linux and say select this Linux machine. Now I'm going to do T2 micro again and say next configure instance. I'm going to then select on which network. Same thing, I'm going to go to the default network. I don't have any preference for subnet. I'm going to say assign a public IP, yes, and rest all I'll leave it to default and say add storage. By default, I have a 8 gig of storage on this boot volume. We call a root volume or boot volume both. Add tag, and now I'm going to add a tag, and this time I'll say name and say Windows K21 Academy, and this time I'm going to say Linux this time instead of, and say Linux. And say VM02 and say security group. Now this time, if you notice here, it's a 22 port number. Now my Windows connect to 3389 RDP. My Linux connects on port number 22. So there is a service called SSH daemon which runs and listens for client requests. So we're going to run it on port number 22. And here 0000 means connect from any IP over the internet. 0.0.0.0/0. It's from anywhere into the internet. Click on review and launch. You verify all the details and say launch. Now this also, in order to connect, I'll need the key pair. Now there is some additional steps I need to do. I can use an existing pair, key pair. Now I already have a key pair, which I'm not going to, because I need to convert that key pair into a key which can be worked on Windows. That's why I'm using and say I already have a key pair and say launch the instance. Now once this is done, I'll go to my view instance. Now if you see, there are two instances, Linux and Windows. This is Linux one which I've just created. Windows one is ready. So it's still initializing though. So I'll go to this instance, click on that, and this is my public IP. Now I want you to go to your machine and say RDP, remote desktop connection. Type this remote desktop connection on your laptop, and then type and something saying 54.89.181.113 and say connect. Now you see here, I'll say more choices, use a different account. I'll explain that in a minute. So now I got a login window. So this is my public IP. You should be able to connect on as well. And let me know in the chat window how many of you can log in or connect. But that means I have now connectivity open. I'm listening from my laptop connected to this machine remote, but I don't have a password right now. So what I do, I need to retrieve the password. So what I do in order to retrieve the password, first time I go and click on connect and say I'm connecting through RDP client. Don't do use session manager because session manager needs some extra things. We don't have that. So we're going to say RDP client. But then this is my username. This was the IP DNS name. I could have used that. I could have used public name. I've used the IP address. I've used the IP address from here. So then now I say I need to get the password. So I'll say click on get password. And now in order to retrieve the password, I need to give the key that I gave earlier or key I created or I got the key when at time of account creation. So I'll say browse, and this key is important. Don't share that key with anyone. So I'll say Windows new key, which was under my download folder. I'll select and say this was a key I created and say open. And then say decrypt the password. And this is to decrypt the password. Now I got a very cryptic word. I can copy from here and say this is my password. And like that, you log in, and now here you type administrator and enter here that password and say okay. And now I'm getting a warning saying that the certificates on this remote desktop server is not from a trusted certifying authority, meaning it's a self-signed certificate. So the server on which I created, there is a encryption, but that encryption is signed by, or that security is signed by the server itself, which means it's not as secure as it should be. These certificates are not issued by the third party. We're okay with that because we know that we have not issued certificate, only AWS or the server itself issued the certificate. So click on yes, and now I'm logging on to the server. And now if I want, I can go and change the password if I want. So this is my administrator user, and the way you change the password, you can go and change the passwords as well. And then you can log in and you can do whatever you want to do on this machine. Now, similarly, I've connected. By now, my Linux machine should have come up as well. So this is my Linux machine, and this is my public IP of Linux machine. There are two IPs, private IP and public IP. Private IP is between AWS within AWS network to connect. Or there's a little bit more advanced thing which is called as connected with on-premise but on a private channel, which I don't want to go into a little bit more advanced. So I'll select here and say this, copy the keys, and here I'm going to. So this is now I'm logged into, that is my Windows machine. I've logged into my Windows server, and now I'm going to go onto I'm going to connect to my Linux machine through PuTTY. And so I already have a configuration done. I need to change this IP to my public IP. This is my public IP 54.166.127.207. And then I don't have the username password. What I have a public private key. So I'm going to connect through here auth, and here I'm going to say this is my private key. So AWS, I think the key is different. Hold on one second. It should be North Virginia private key because I created this key earlier. And then I'll go back to and say open. And first time again alert, which is fine. I'll be logging as EC2-user. I'll show it to you as well why I'm using EC2. Hit enter. And now I've logged into my Linux machine on public IP. Why I'm using EC2? Because I've created this machine, and this machine was of a AWS Linux machine, which by default comes with its own a user called EC2 user already done. So if you see here a user called EC2-user here. So I've logged into this EC2 user here. So this is how you have connected now to the Linux machine, and you've connected to the Windows machine as well. Anyone, any questions before I terminate this? One thing also remember to make sure is once you're done, make sure you terminate it, because you only get 720 minutes in a month, which means I think 724 30 days, total 30 days, but all the machines combined together 720 hours in a machine, 720. And so that is all about AWS machines. Let me know if you have any questions on this so far, and I think that does. Can we connect Windows machine from Linux machine from changing the network configuration? Yes, we can. Yes, we can. I think Linux okay, I need to install the PuTTY machine. You don't need, if these two Windows and Linux machine are the same network. I can connect from here to here. So this is my Linux. So if I go to my Windows machine and I start a command prompt, CMD. No, I think these are on two different firewalls. So I need to allow the connection. There is a firewall. These are these are in the there is a two separate firewall. Created a two separate firewall. But yes, you can allow and then connection allow the connections. Great. I hope that makes sense, guys. So let me go back. Oh, once this is done, make sure you select both and go to instance state and say terminate. Terminate stop means you're stopping the server. The background services are there and you can start them again. Terminate means I'm completely removing them. Now they are gone. So if I refresh that, they're completely, after some time, you will say terminated and these are shutting down. They are gone. So this completes my demo about creating machines. So does it make sense, guys? Is it all making sense? Oh, why it's called as EC2? Elastic Compute Cloud. That's what it is, Hatim. Elastic Cloud Compute, Hatim. Safe, yeah, you can connect, okay. So, okay, Linux, okay, I've done both. 1 second, I'm getting a lot of questions and messages. Let me pick that. Anyone from Facebook? Let me know that as well. Okay, not link, wrong story. Very good, very good. So guys, let me know. I just want to recap everything quickly. So make sure that you, if you're interested, go and to learn more. There's a free class, k20academy.com/AWS Solution Architect. I don't know where, am I still on LinkedIn or have gone? My screen is just hanging. So I don't know whether I'm still here. Okay, no, it shows live. It still shows live. Still shows live. Great. Okay, great. So just to wrap it up now, all this is the free class, k20academy.com/AWS 02. If you want to get certified on AWS Solution Architect, and this is the labs and guide. We also do AWS Developer. We also do AWS Solution Architect. We do DevOps, and we are starting these specialists as well. With that, let's do a quick recap on everything what we have learned. And those of you who don't know me, this was Atul, and maybe scan this QR code or go to linkedin.com/NIN/Oracle Apps DBA, and that to show you this is how I started. I used to be in Oracle e-business suite DBA and then moved to identity and access management and then moved on to cloud. And because I know I keeps updating myself with where the market is going. And so this is where industry is moving. Make sure you learn cloud. Oracle, this URL. I'm an author and a cloud architect. I've written a couple of books, and then I have 21 years of experience with and helped 5,700 plus individuals like you. So this is the topics we covered. This whole session was sponsored by K21 Academy, and this is what we covered: cloud computing. What was the cloud computing? We also looked at the characteristics or properties of cloud computing, elasticity versus scalability, then cloud service model, which is deployment, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service, IaaS, PaaS, SaaS. We gave an example of IaaS, which is your EC2, Elastic Compute Cloud, and EBS, Elastic Block Storage or networking. Platform as a service, Elastic Beanstalk, where you deploy applications. Lightsail or software as a service example is Office 365. Cloud deployment model, we did the public cloud, private cloud, and hybrid cloud. Then why AWS? You saw that the biggest cloud vendor as of today, bigger than the next three its competitors. It's bigger than that. And this is Gartner's Magic Quadrant. Now, the URL, again, one more time, if you want to create an account, k21academy.com/AWS SA13. Also, that will take you to our YouTube channel. So there'll be a video from YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. On a weekly basis, we are producing more and more useful videos on our YouTube channel. And then I think YouTube channel, let me give you the YouTube channel as well. Those who are not yet, I've given you a lot of tasks. So don't feel intimidated. k21academy.com/YouTube. And then I think there's a subscribe button as well somewhere. Or I think this is me covering. but this is where you create AWS, all the AWS related things, S3 storage classes, multi-factor authentication, difference between EFS, EBS, S3, CloudTrail, CloudWatch, DevOps, everything is here. Okay, brilliant. And then you AWS services, all the services which we saw. Again, and then we talked about certification. Let me know which certification you're interested on, what you want to do more, and what other things that you want me to see here in this. And also don't forget to thumbs up and thumbs down, rate this session and tell us what we could have done better. Was it right pace? Was it too slow? Was it too fast? I always take I'll always try to work on improving the services. And if you're interested, take a free class. In this, we are also going to talk about a paid program towards end, which is AWS Solution Architect. So, but you will still get a lot of value. Whatever we have done here will go very fast pace, and I'm going to bring Aryan, who is an AWS expert working since 2013 on this. And then step-by-step hands-on lab, k20academy.com/AWS SA05. Okay, with that, this is, as I said, Atul from team K20 Academy. Thanks for us being here with me, spending some time. And I'll be here for 1 or 2 more minutes to ask. Brenda, I'm still here. Yes. Yes, you are there. Okay, yes, you're still there. Okay, thank you very much. Thanks, Brenda. Thanks, Shamili. And as I said, on my YouTube, next time I'll be trying to go parallelly on YouTube and Facebook page as well. Okay, that's pretty much from my side. And yeah, that's as I said, I'll be here to see 1 or 2 minutes to take any questions. But if you're watching this as a replay later, if you're watching this as a recording, leave a comment with your question, and I'll ask my team to make sure that they answer or they at least come to me. If you need to speak to my team, k20academy.com as well as here. So let me see and read out. And if Ayush, if any question I've missed, maybe you can speak to me and you can call me, and then I can pick up those questions. But otherwise, we'll pick it tomorrow. Are we having class on YouTube? Yes, we are having a safe. No, the class. Okay. Great, sir. Thanks, Raj Kishore. Can we get that free class information on that K21? Yes, k20academy.com/AWS SA02. Starting there, I'll be jumping on. Okay, thank you very much, each one of you. There were lots and lots of comments. So thank you very much, Brenda, Shamli, Hatim, Mukesh, Sayed, Bhanu, Prashant, Shweta, Morthini. A lot of you guys were here, and big thank you. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Take care and bye for now. Ayush from my team, if you can close this, if you know how to close it. Otherwise, I'll try to close it from